Hello, and thank you for visiting our fourth webcast on China Education Alliance, where we demonstrate our evidence for why we think the company is fabricating its financial statement that it reports to the SEC. In our first three videos, we showed that the company's websites are non-functional in a variety of ways, ranging from broken links to a broken payment system, and a variety of other problems that lead us to suspect that CEU is grossly overstating its revenue and profit numbers. In this webcast, we're going to show that the company's Heilongjiang Zhonghe Training Center, which supposedly generated more than 30% of the company's revenue in both 2009 as well as the most recent 9 months, is in fact an empty building that is unfurnished and unused. We hired an investigator to visit the training center and have more than 40 pictures as well as video footage of the training center. We're going to demonstrate in this webcast that we're sure that we visited the correct address and that the company's training center segment refers primarily to one single training center that is at this address, that it did not move its operations from this address to another, and that the empty building we visited is in fact the one being referenced in the SEC filings. Let's begin with Exhibit 10.4 from the 2006 10K. This is the organization constitution of the Heilongjiang Zhonghe Education Training Center. The company operates its training center through a separate subsidiary from the rest of the business, and this subsidiary was set up in June 2005. As we can see in this organizing constitution, the name of it is the Heilongjiang Zhonghe Education Training Center, and the address is Building 39, High and New Technology Developing Zone, Sadao Street, Kinshan Road, Nangang District, Harbin, postal code 150080. Let's demonstrate that this address is what the company has been referring to throughout its historical and most recent SEC filings. This is from the 2006 10K, and we can see the disclosure: Heilongjiang Zhonghe Education Center engages in on-site training services and face-to-face tutorship under the Big Classroom of the Famed Instructors program and its VOD courseware resources. The usable area for the training center is about 3,400 square meters, with 17 modern classrooms that has a capacity for 1,200 students. The courses cover each phase of compulsory education, of which junior, middle, and high school as the key part. Now, a couple of important things. First, they say the training center, so the company is referring to one singular training center. It's 3,400 square meters, has 17 modern classrooms, and capacity for 1,200 students. We'll see this language throughout future SEC filings. Let's move to the 2007 10K. In the 2007 10K, here is the training center heading, and we see a similar description. Again, they refer to one state-of-the-art training center, and here we have 36,600 square feet. Before we had meters, so about 3,400 to 3,700 square meters equates to 36,600 square feet. And again, we see 17 modern classrooms and a capacity for 1,200 students. That is what we saw in the 2006 10K. In 2008, we have similar disclosure. Again, one state-of-the-art training center in Harbin, 36,600 square feet, 17 modern classrooms, and a capacity for 1,200 students. Moving to 2009, again, the same thing, one state-of-the-art training center in Harbin, 36,600 square feet, 17 modern classrooms, and a capacity for 1,200 students. Now, let's go to the most recent 9 months. Here, we see this training center supposedly contributed $11 million of revenue in the 9 months ended September 2010, and almost $9 million of gross profit. We're skeptical of these figures given that the training center is unfurnished and unused. If we move to the 2006 10K, we have a brief discussion of how the company was started. It says the training center was established during the third quarter of 2005. So again, this is the training center that was established in 2005 that we saw in the organization constitution. Next, let's go to Google and use Google Maps to locate this training center. We have this address here, but let's just double check and see what Google brings up. All right, so we're going to type this into Google and map it. Here we go. Google fortunately provides an image that it has in its filings of the Heilongjiang Zhonghe Training Center. And we can see this is on Qinshan Road, which is that same that we saw in Exhibit 10.4. Taking a close-up look at the image, we'll show a bit later that this is the same building that our investigator visited. Let's move to our slideshow. This is the first slide in our slideshow, and it's actually a map of the industrial park that the building is in. Again, their building is in the high and new technology zone, and that's basically what this says here, and their center is building 39. This is the front of the building, and again, you see the similarities here with what we have from Google. It's the same building, the banner is different, but we have the same physical building. This is the awning, which reads Adult Middle School. Here we have the address with building 39 clearly marked. From the outside of the building, what you see here is that the building has 6 floors. And we can see that again from the front with the sky up here. We see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 floors. Okay, now we're entering the building, and this over here is where the guard is. Our investigators spoke with the guard and essentially confirmed that this building is unused. Okay, now we're on the first floor. We can see it's empty, very clean, but empty and unfurnished. Our investigator actually put together a floor plan here of what the first, second, third, fourth, and sixth floors look like. The fifth floor actually has an extra office here that's a little bit bigger. But basically, all the floors have a hall and 3 offices and no other classrooms, so if these halls are empty, there's nothing else going on in there. So this is a stairwell. This is the entrance to the second floor. Entering the second floor, we can see again it's empty. Office here, empty bathroom. And we're on the third floor. We have some cubicles, but no chairs, no computers. It's otherwise empty over here on the sides. Almost entirely empty, just a few cubicles. Now to the fourth floor. A chalkboard there, or maybe a whiteboard, but again, mostly empty. Another shot of the fourth floor. Okay, here's the fifth floor. Entering the stairwell, empty, empty, empty. We have some offices, and they were locked, but we have the titles of various departments or positions on them, but we couldn't get inside. Here we have a clock, and our investigator noticed the time wasn't correct. Entering the sixth floor, again, it's empty. Nothing there. It's a large empty space. We actually have some video footage of the sixth floor as well. We'll show that in a bit. Here's the bathroom, and we see a construction ladder and the roof access was closed off. So as we can see throughout this slideshow, the building is basically empty, and that this is the same building as the one Google Maps found for our Heilongjiang Zhonghe Education Training Center search, which is at an address that matches what the company originally disclosed in Exhibit 10.4 in the 2006 10K. And we can see that the description used to describe this building in 2006 is the same one that was used in 2009, and that supposedly accounted for $11 million of revenue. The company has made no mention of selling the training center or moving to a new center, so you would think that this $11 million is essentially made up, given that the most recent quarter ended on September 30th, and we visited about a week after this quarter ended, and the building is empty. Before we go, we have a video of the sixth floor for you to watch.
And while you're watching the video, we want to make some additional comments. Like many Chinese companies, CEU has a US-based chief financial officer who speaks regularly at conferences. Throughout these conferences, the CFOs portrayed the training center segment somewhat differently than what is written in the company's SEC filings. The SEC filings clearly claim that the company's training center revenue and profit originates from one single training center. We provided evidence for that by examining historical 10Ks throughout the beginning of this video. The SEC filings also claim that this training center provides education for elementary, middle, and high school students. This discussion is also clearly laid out in the 10K. The 2009 10K says, to quote, "The training center has approximately 36,600 square feet with 17 modern classrooms and a capacity for 1,200 students. The courses cover each phase of compulsory education, of which junior, middle, and high school as the key part. Our courses are complementary type with regular school classes and will vary depending on the age of the students as well as the progress of the class. Class subjects include math, physics, chemistry, English, Chinese, etc. We charge students for each class taken." In conferences, the CFOs portrayed the training segment business somewhat differently and has said that the training center segment has two components. One component is the Heilongjiang Zhonghe Education Training Center, which we profiled in this video and which he claims is actually an IT-oriented training center for vocational students. According to the CFO, this comprises 60% of the training segment revenue and is highly profitable. The second component is a set of 10 tutoring-oriented satellite centers, which were set up several years ago and comprise 40% of the segment's revenue. Now, this portrayal of the segment has not been written anywhere in the SEC filings, so in our report and in this video, we're disproving what is in the 10K. Nevertheless, even if we were to take the CFO's representation of the training center segment, the company is still defrauding investors. The CFO claims that this training center, which is at the same location as the one set up in 2005, comprises 60% of the segment's revenue and is highly profitable. As we can see in this video, that's highly unlikely. To be highly profitable, we would at least expect this training center to have some furniture. With that final point being said, we'll leave you to watch the rest of the video. We lay out our case that China Education Alliance is defrauding investors in full in our report, which has been made public. We hope you read that, find it informative, and we hope you found this video informative as well.